Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Garware Hi-Tech Films Limited Q4 FY21 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Sneh Kumar Purohit. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to you all. I'm Sneh Kumar Purohit from Blue Lotus Communications. We represent the investor relations of Garware Hi-Tech Films Limited. On behalf of company, I would like to thank you all for participating in company's earnings conference call for the financial year 2021. Garware Hi-Tech Films Limited recently changed its name from Garware Polyester Limited. Before we begin, I would like to mention a short cautionary statement. Some of the statements made in today's con call may be forward-looking in nature. Such forward-looking statements are subject to risks and uncertainties, which could cause actual results to differ from those anticipated. Such statements are based on management's beliefs as well as assumptions made by and information currently available to management. Audiences are cautioned not to place any undue reliance on this forward-looking statement in making any investment decisions. The purpose of today's earnings con call is purely to educate and bring awareness about the company's fundamental business and financial year under review. I would now like to introduce you to the management participating with us in today's earnings call. We have with us Mr. C.J. Pathak, Whole-Time Director, Mr. Pradeep Mehta, CFO, Mr. Krishnan, Director Sales, Mr. Srivastav, Company Secretary, and Mr. N. Chandramouli, CEO Blue Lotus Communications. We are going to start with the overview of the company's performance for Q4 and FY 2021. With that, we can switch to the Q&A session. Thank you, and over to you, Pathak, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sneh. Good afternoon, everyone. I am C.J. Pathak, the Whole-Time Director at Garware Hi-Tech Films Limited. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the Quarter 4 and Financial Year 21 earnings conference call of Garware Hi-Tech Films Limited. All of you are keeping safe and healthy. At the outset, let me share with you that as per the suggestions received from the investors and shareholders, the company has changed its name, which will now truly reflect the business operations. I'm delighted to report that we have had another healthy annual performance, with the second highest performance in the history of the company, and delivered a fifth consistent year of strong bottom line growth. Company witnessed a healthy demand across most products. About the capex incurred in the year 2021, the company has commissioned PPF film plant and made operational in December 2020, having versatility to manufacture multiple value-added products, and the PPF plant is very well established, and the products are receiving very good acceptance from international market. We have received a new metallurgizer, which is under installation and scheduled to start commercial production in June quarter of financial year 20. On the ongoing capex plans, I am pleased to inform that GHFL has decided to go for capacity expansion of additional new lamination window film line for manufacturing window film production. As the existing capacity utilization has reached 100% utilization in the last quarter of year 2021, the new capacity will be operational in the first quarter of the next financial year, that is April 2022. This will add about 300 crore at top line in the financial year. In 2 years' time, say 2024. In financial year 21, GHFL received a silver medal in the India Green Manufacturing event conducted by the Institute of IRIM. The company has developed PCR shrink film, and we have dispatched our first commercial consignment of PCR shrink film to Europe. We have developed a facility to recycle the PET bottle crush in our polymerization plant to increase the PCR content in our product. On the social front, we have carried out many activities, like we have provided our Garavare Community Center, which we run at Aurangabad, for carrying out the vaccination program. Then we are building a full-fledged COVID quarantine and care center at Aurangabad with a 150-bed facility with an oxygen plant attached to it of 500 LPM capacity, which will be a very well-equipped center along with the ambulance and the tie-up with hospitals. But this will be donated to the Aurangabad Municipal Corporation to run the center. We have also, in addition to this, given certain donations of Philips ventilators, certain concentrators. Also, from our film, we manufactured the face shield and PPE kits, which are given to various hospitals for frontline workers. The same is also given to the Mumbai Police and other police. Now I request Mr. Pradeep Mehta to give the financial highlights. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, all. On consolidated basis for Q4 March 21 versus Q4 March 20, revenue from operation up 30.4% to rupees 287.74 crore. Profit after tax up 50.9% to rupees 31.80 crore. EBITDA margin decreased from 20.8% to 20.2%. On consolidated basis for FY21, the company registered total revenue of 1,004.67 crore, is up by 7.3% on YOY basis. Profit after tax at rupees 125.95 crore, up 46.4%. EPS of rupees 54.21, up by 46.4%. Exports contributed 74.3% to sales. Value-added films contributed 76% to sales. EBITDA margin increased from 18.8% in FY20 to 23.6% in FY21. Net profit margin improved by 340 basis points from 9.3% to in FY20 to 12.7% in FY21. The debt to equity ratio stood at 0.07 times for FY21. Would also like to add that the company improved performance has been reflected by the return ratio, that is ROC is 22.72% adjusted for revaluation reserve, and return on equity stands at 15.75% adjusted for revaluation reserve. Also, the company has achieved the net profit margin of 11.05% in the last quarter on consolidated basis. Thank you all. With this, we can now open the floor to the question and answer session.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Sudhir Bheda from Right Time Consultancy Services. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir, and congratulations on strong set of cash flows and profit. Hello.
Thank you. Yes, go on.
Yes, sir, just 2 questions. One is your Q-on-Q margins have come down, and is there any seasonality involved, because most of your products are exported more than 75%, and December being the good quarter. So is there any seasonality or some raw material cost escalation impact is there, Q-on-Q basis?
Yes, there is some seasonality. However, we are utilizing the 100% capacity, and though the raw material cost has gone up, that is passed on to the customers, but for export it takes some time for passing it on. So that will be passed on.
So in current quarter, margin will be again back to Q4 level or Q3 level?
Yeah, it should be.
And how do you see the current year? Because in overseas market, there are strong demands of all the products. So what kind of growth do you foresee in the FY22?
You see, as I said in the beginning, that we are operating at 100% capacity utilization, and we also already announced expansion of the capacity for the window film. So we are seeing a robust demand in future also.
So any growth number in FY22, if you can share?
Beta, it will be a little premature for us to share that, as you will understand surely.
Okay, and one more question, sir. Is there any land bank company has, and if you can quantify it?
Yeah, land bank is there.
Mm-hmm.
That's also been
We have the land bank, but as and when, because we have not yet decided anything on that. When the board will decide, it will definitely be disclosed, properly disclosed.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Veda. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sahil Sharma, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, congrats on a good set of results. If you look at your past annual reports, we can see that R&D spends have been around 1.5 crore to 1.8 crore range for last few years. I understand that based on our R&D, we have a very differentiated and value-added set of products, and that we are not a commodity producer. What I'm trying to understand is that is it not possible for our competitors to spend a similar amount of capital, which also looks somewhat small compared to our or their top line, and then compete with us in the global market, develop the same set of technologies that we have developed?
This is actually a technology which is developed over the years, and whatever the R&D activities we are doing is not the basic research, but it is supplementary to the products or application performance improvement or some addition which is required by the customers. So that all is done. So what is your question is that about the competition you are asking something?
So basically what I'm saying is, the company has been saying that we are making value-added products, which I understand.
Yes.
If you look at our competitors, they are making very commoditized products. But the thing is, if you look at our R&D spend, they are somewhat small, like maybe 2 crores every year, right? So what I'm wondering is, is it not possible that some of our competitors also do their own R&D and, develop the same technology that we have? For example, we are able to dye the films and, those technologies that we have. Is it not possible that our competitors can also develop those technologies by doing the small R&D spend, like 2.5 crore, 1.8 crore every year?
Mr. Sharma, if I may just add in with Mr. Pathak's permission, so this is not just the money spent, it's the intellect spent on it, and which Mr. Pathak also said has been done over the years. There are 2 or 3 distinct advantages that Garhware Hi-Tech Polymers films has. One being the fact that there are chips to films manufacture, which is the end-to-end manufacturing, which very few organizations in the world have. That's the first advantage, which allows you to manipulate a polymer very sensitively, which gives it the unique properties that you so desire. It is not possible for anybody to pick up, polymer films and then make it into something that we probably are able to do. That's number one. Number two, the chemistry that is there is a lab-based chemistry. So you have to do it in the lab and then be able to scale it up into a large-scale manufacturing with efficiencies, high efficiencies. So the lab-scale efficiencies is about, tinkering with the polymerization process and being able to get in the right product out. So that tinkering is a very sensitive tinkering which does not require very heavy spends, even though we've been doing it consistently over the years, which even if others try would be very difficult for them to achieve. I think that one, and Mr. Pathak, would you care to add anything in?
Yeah, because as you rightly said, we have the facilities right from chips to film to metallized to lamination, coating, etc. And all these facilities are having all kinds of requirement attachment which is needed for making our product, exclusive product. So one is the capital investment which is done over the years. Second is the technology and proficiency developed over the years, which I don't think cannot be copied immediately. We have purposefully developed because we wanted to be in the niche market, and from that angle, we have planned everything right from the investment, plant and machinery, and processes. Everything is designed. Even the polymer which is required is also designed polymer, and that's why it is different than what our competition is. The market, the targets are totally different than what we have. So I think these are two distinct different things. It's what we are doing and what competition is.
And not related to amount spent.
I see. And I think the primary answer is that it will take them many years to develop this, even if they have the capital.
Correct.
Right? Okay, so my second, thanks a lot, that clarifies. Second question is that, I have been studying some of your global competitors as well. For example, in the US market, we have Expel and Ceramic Pro. And if you look at them, and specifically their film segments, they have been growing fairly fast. For example, Expel did $7 million in window films in Q1 FY21, looking at the American way, their Q1 is our Q4. So if you analyze this is roughly 200 crore run rate, and they have achieved this from zero sales roughly 3 years ago. So I've been very curious, they have been able to grow from 0 to 200 in 3 years. So from what I can understand, this is because they have a very interesting supply chain, where they are able to make large tinters into their franchisee partners. Expert is able to do that. So my understanding is that, branding plays a very, important, basically role here for Expert. And not just that, if you look at Ceramic Pro, that's another of our competitors in US, and they are also entering the window film and PPS markets, and expects it to be a major chunk of the business going forward. So it appears like the competitive intensity is kind of increasing in the US market, at least, with Ceramic Pro and Expel both kind of growing fast and entering into the markets that we compete in, which is window film and PPS. So from what I understand, we are definitely a very excellent manufacturing company. But what I wanted to understand is, especially on the marketing and brand building side, what kind of initiatives we are taking so that we are able to successfully compete against Ceramic Pro and Expel.
Certainly. I think I suggest Mr. Krishnan to take on this question and respond.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And just to brief you, our largest market is United States, and we are the third largest brand which sells in that market, along with, behind 3M and Lumar, which are the other large competitors. And as per the statistics and details that we have, as compared to Expel, we are several times larger than them in the US market itself. Expel again is a brand, and their main product is PPF. They are a software company, and they sell the paint protection film. As you're aware, we have just entered that market, and the window film is a much smaller component of their total turnover. And we have been working on our brand. We have been there in the US market for about 20 years. And as I said, we are the third largest brand in that country. We have a network of about a little over 4,000 tinters who are connected to us. These tinters are sort of wedded to us and use our product continuously. And that is the network. We sell our product through a network of about 5 large distributors covering all the 52 states in the United States. And we have a full-fledged marketing plan, regularly advertising in various trade magazines, as also the tinter magazines, various promotional activities that we continuously have in that market. All of that has created a huge pull for our product. Just to give you an idea, during the last year, our sales have substantially jumped in that market as compared. In fact, the biggest jump has happened in the US market for us during the last financial year.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Ankit from Bamboo Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, on the EPS side, can you tell us how has been the progress of our company in the past 6 months?
Sorry to interrupt. Ankit, your voice is breaking up.
Sure. Yes.
I'm so sorry, Ankit, but we are not able to hear you.
Is it better now?
No, sir, your voice is still breaking up.
Can we come back to you, Ankit, in a little while, if you don't mind? We'll just come back to you till then we can take the next question.
Thank you.
Until you're...
The next question is on the line of Kashyap Karthik from Table Tree Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. Sir, a couple of questions. The first question is if you could elaborate on how our paint protection film business has progressed over the last 6 months, especially, if you could touch upon, we've been doing a lot of study and research on the US market, like the way we understand the US market in the paint protection films especially is XPEL and 3M kind of are at the top end, covering Teslas and Mercs and BMWs, and then Lumar and Suntech are in the middle segment, which is the Ford, Chevys and Hondas. So if you could tell us, if we target the B2C segment and if we are targeting the B2C segment, which customer segment? Is it the grocery shopping people or the top-end people that we target in the paint protection segment? And B, do we supply a contract manufacturing to some of these players as well? And what percentage of revenue is that, if it is that, in paint protection especially?
Yeah, in the U.S. market, we, as you are aware, we entered the paint protection business just in the last quarter after our plant was commissioned. We are distributing our product through a network of 5 distributors, as I mentioned. And we also have the same tinters who do the window film also do the paint protection. So we are in terms of developing the business through them, and they have been using our products. We are conducting training programs, application program for our product. We have been advertising our product into the market. It has been, as of now, fairly well received. The reports have been pretty good, and we sell it under a brand called Global, which is the brand we also sell the window films. So the acceptance of the product has been good. The names that you mentioned of XPEL and 3M have been in the market for almost a decade or so, and we are just a recent entrant, couple of months. So it will take us some time, but the initial response has been extremely good.
Got it. And this is completely B2C, sir, and we don't supply any contract manufacturing to any of these players, just to confirm that.
As of now, no, but there could be opportunities. When we do it, probably we'll come back at that point of time.
Got it. The second question that I have, continuing on paint protection film, sir, it's a paint protection film as a customer. He's spending about $2,000 to $3,000 per car for an XPEL or 3M. So what's our kind of offering per car in the market? And traditionally, we are in window films, which is about $200, $300 per car. So for the same customer to purchase a $2,000, $3,000 is a substantial difference. So from our learning perspective, from a strategy perspective, if you could just tell us per car how much would it cost for paint protection, and how are we dealing with the same tinter selling a $200 product, which we have been selling for years, and suddenly he's going to sell a $2,000 product, which obviously requires a different selling skill set.
Okay. Firstly, the window film, we sell the window films to the high-end products, and our window films cater to the top segment, the Mercs, the BMWs, and all the premium cars. And we make exclusive product for that category of customers, number one. The window film prices are also not as cheap as you mentioned, or as low priced as you mentioned. They are far higher than that, number one. Number two, the cost of the paint protection for an entire car, meaning bumper to bumper, if you were to cover it, it is somewhere in the region of $1,400 to $1,500 or so, roughly, number one. Number two is people don't use paint protection for the entire car. They only use it for the fender, for the bumpers, for the outer rear view mirrors. So selective portions of the car is what they. So some of them spend somewhere between $500 to $700. Some of them go to 1,000. Some very rare you will see somebody covering the entire car with a paint protection film. So the price difference is not so high from what you see on the window film to the paint protection. It is not 200 to 2,000. It is somewhere in the region of 400, 500 going to 700, $800.
Got it, sir. Got it.
Also the same, as I explained to you, the same tinter who does this, also the window film also does the paint protection. And he's already exposed to our brand. And our brand sells because of the quality. Our quality in terms of the market response is the best available in the United States. And that is an acknowledged fact by the tinter community.
Fantastic, sir. Fantastic. If I can squeeze one last question, sir, just continuing on paint protection. The major selling point, apart from quality of the product, again, for the players in the market, XPEL, Luma, 3M, are the designs and design patterns, which are fairly critical. I'm sure XPEL has DAP software, which they sell as an add-on. So in terms of our IP, I know we've just started on the market, but any thoughts on strategy around how we plan to build that library and database of design and design patterns, which are extremely critical for a successful of paint protection over the next year or so?
Yeah, we have already developed that. We have already had a tie-up in terms of the software to support the application of the paint protection film. Also for our window film, it is available. We already have that, and we are already marketing that as well along with our product. We have just started that since the last couple of months.
Got it, sir. Got it. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Archit from FinStep. Please go ahead.
Hello, yes, please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on a good year. So first I had a suggestion. I'm new to the company, so please pardon my ignorance. When I look at the annual report, I see a huge cost of rupees 25 to 30 crores in the form of processing charges that we pay to our related party, Garware Industries Limited. As I understand, this payment is because of the tech that the Garware family holds. I don't see it as a corporate governance issue, but still when I go to the MCA website and download the financials of Garware Industries, I notice that 90% of their revenues come from Garware High Tech, and they make over 70% operating margins. So I just have a request to the Garware family, and especially to Mr. S.V. Garware, whom I have huge respect for. I would urge him for his own benefit, as he holds more than 60% of the company, and for the benefit of the minority shareholders, that he transfers this tech to Garware High Tech and this huge cost goes away. If you look at the perpetuity value of this 30 crore payment, then it is close to 400 crores. However, if this processing charge goes away, I'm certain that our market cap will increase by this much in just 2 years' time. It is a humble request and to strongly consider this, and I would sincerely like to convey my respect to the family members. Coming to my question, my first question is that as we can see that our sun control business has scaled up significantly over the years. It was around 350 crores in FY20, which by the end of FY21 was 450 crores. Firstly, I would like to understand the geographical breakup of our sun control business, and secondly, I would like to understand the share of branded sun control business versus unbranded sun control business. As a follow-up, if you could please also tell if the margins for the branded sun control film is the same as the margin for the non-branded sun control film. Thank you.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Okay. In terms of the market, in our presentation, we have given you a breakup by and large, of course, of all our products. But just to give you an idea, our largest market in the world is United States, and followed by Europe, followed by Middle East, Far East, and then, of course, South America. These are our, and as I said, we sell in about 8 countries across the globe. The sun control business has been growing, and the growth has been very good since the last 2 to 3 years. And as was mentioned by our CEO, it is for that reason that we have announced an expansion later this year in terms of the sun control products. In terms of branded and non-branded, we sell both the products. The margins are no different in terms of the branded and the non-branded. Predominantly, we can't give a percentage how much branded and how much non-branded, but predominantly our sale is of branded products.
Okay. Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. Yes, please. Continue, please.
Thank you, sir. Also about the margins that come from branded and non-branded, could you please tell if they are different and by how much?
There is no difference. As I explained to you, branded and non-branded, there is a very small difference. It's quite insignificant, per se.
Okay. Also, sir, just to rectify, the geographical sales that you mentioned, the countries list that you mentioned, that is specifically for the sun control business.
No, it is for both our products, Sun Control and our polyester film business that we sell. But as I said, by and large, the larger market for us is United States. The largest is the United States, followed by Europe, followed by Far East, Middle East, and South America.
Okay. So will it be possible for you to release the percentages?
No, it would not be appropriate because this is information that it's a public. If it goes into public domain, obviously the competition also benefits. We wouldn't want to share that.
Okay. No. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ayush Agarwal from Mittal Analytics Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir, and congratulations on a good set of numbers. So my first question is that, it is my understanding that out of the 5 distributors that we have, 2 also have their own brand, where we do the white label for them, and they sell under their own brand. And please correct me if my understanding is incorrect. So my question is, what is the incentive for the distributors to push our global brand ahead of their own brand? Since they act as a key marketing agents, have you given them some kind of structured arrangement where they make probably better margins as they sell more global brands, or what's the arrangement like? If you can throw some light, then it would be really helpful.
Okay, we promote only the global brands. We do not promote any other brand.
Correct.
And all advertising, all our tinter contact program, all our quality assurance, all support on training that we do, marketing that we do, everything is on the global brand. They do sell in a localized manner, a very small volume in their private brand. Now, in fact, the private brand was existing even before our brand started into the market. So we just continue for the sake of continuity and sake of the contact that we have. They have in the market. They continue with their old brands, and that is a much smaller portion of their business.
But what would encourage them to push the brand global and not their own brand is my sole question here.
Okay, so the key thing is the customer comes and demands the brand at the counter, and what they do at times is there are several cheap brands available in the market. Cheap meaning low price brands manufactured by, I don't want to specifically name the country, you are aware of it. So they sell into the market sometimes. So in order to ensure that he doesn't lose the customer, he sells the product of his brand to support himself.
Right. Okay. So a follow-up on this would be that, since it is only our global products which are rebranded as their own brand, how do they manage the price differential if you're saying that it is mostly to meet the lower cost product?
See, within the window film, there are different types of products which cater to different segments of the automotive business, as also in terms of the architectural space. So when it is a technology product, it is all in the global brand. When it comes to low price product, which is catering to, as I said, product from some of the other countries, that is where they go and sell that product in the market. So when it comes to technology, when it comes to, let us say, an IR product, etc., where the customer is very conscious about the quality and he wants a good product for his car and he is selling for a premium car, then all of them usually sell our product only.
All right. That's great to know. So the second question is, as you had mentioned that our tinter penetration in the US is as high as 4,000, which is a huge deal. So my question on that is that, and as you had mentioned that these tinters are wedded to us. So is it safe to assume that, a high percentage of these tinters, and if you could probably give a rough number, how much percentage of this, the tinter penetration that we have use only the global brand?
I would say, what happens with the tinter community is when he is taking the car in, sometimes the customer already has bought the film. I mean, you can buy the film on the net as well in United States.
Barring that, I'm asking.
So there's a good percentage which buys on the net. They already bought the film. And if he's not bought the film, sometimes he comes and specifies that I want an Expel or I want a 3M product or a Luma product only. And therefore he specifies that, in which case the tinter doesn't put, he says I use global and this is far better. He tries to do a bit of selling, but he doesn't want to lose the customer because there is a fair amount of labor that he is going to get, which is important to him. But otherwise, given a choice, he would buy the global from us.
But sir, in that case, like you mentioned that some customers may come and ask for a specific brand. So why would I not, since it's a highly developed country, why would I not go to the tinter who sells either Expel or 3M or Luma, what I want to get installed? Do people just walk into mom and pop shops and get their cars tinted, or do they actually look for brands and go to a particular?
No, it's not mom and pop shop. These tinters are experts, and they are all across all the 52 states. So therefore, there is no particular tinter who only deals with one single brand. There are a few of them in each place, but a bulk of it, they do all the products by and large.
And if I'm not wrong, there would also be the fact that there is proximity to the particular car owner. There are so many other things that matter, and nobody travels very large distances for tinting.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Nikhil Chaudhary from Go Ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on a great execution for the year. Sir, all my questions have been answered. I had just one last question in regards to the paint protection film. So probably the customer question you have already answered. I just wanted to understand, is it an export-oriented product completely, or we will be targeting domestic guys probably in the market, or any other player who is willing to enter India? Like recently there have been talks in respect of a global player, an EV player entering India, and are we contemplating any tie-ups with that player?
We do sell we are selling in the domestic market, and we have a fairly good share of the market as well ever since we have entered the paint protection film. And we are also trying to tie up with some of the new entrants, like you mentioned. We are talking to them as well in terms of our product.
Got it, sir. Great to hear that, and all the best. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Ravi Kumar. Please go ahead.
Hi. You have a good set of numbers this quarter as well. Congrats on that. My question is regarding the R&D. You have a robust R&D, but I would like to know what is your view for the next 5 years or so? Like what kind of products do you want to bring into the market, and what is the process do you follow to get a product from your R&D to the production?
Yeah, we have a team headed by some of the doctors working, PhD guys, and qualified. It's a good team of qualified, experienced people to support. They are working on certain new products for the future, for which we are also in the process of filing the patent, and that will be used. In each segment, industrial product division, we are introducing some new products, and also in the consumer division segment, also we are going to introduce some new products. So that is in the offing, and that will be introduced. It's a continuous process, and the R&D is working on the product innovation, development, application development, process modification. So it's a continuous process.
Okay, thanks. I would also like to know what I meant by the process is there something like a certain margin or the size of opportunity or the kind of value add? What are the things which you look at when you plan to get a product into the production?
You see, we would like to be in the niche market and niche products, which are high-tech products, which normally people shouldn't copy. And because we have that kind of capabilities, and we develop such kind of products where we get the better margins by utilizing our capacities. Because we are not into commodity, so we have limited capacity, and we try to get the good margin on the products.
Okay, thanks. That helps. And one last question on the PPF. Are we looking to get any tie-up with the OEMs going forward? Is that a part of our plan?
Yeah, I mean, depends on the opportunities. As it comes, as I said, we'll make those announcements.
Also, as been stated earlier, this is usually not an OEM product because the cost of the car increases tremendously, and therefore the OEM does not want to use it at that particular point. It happens at the tinter only, and not everybody wants the same type of film. Would you like to add, Mr. Krishna?
Yeah, that's correct. But what they do is some of the OEM recommend usage of a particular brand or product. So we are in touch, as I said, with some of the OEMs. So as and when we finalize, we'll make those announcements.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Kacholia from Lucky Investment. Please go ahead.
Good evening to the Garware team and congratulations on a good set of numbers.
Thank you.
My question is basically, sir, do we sell the Global Films brand only in the US and the Garware brand in India? Is that how it works?
That is correct.
My second question, sir, is what is the amount of money that we spent on digital marketing that is online, YouTube, Instagram, online influencers, etc., in the US and in India for promoting our brands online?
It's part of our advertising, total advertising that we do. We can't give you a split, but we have, in fact, in US a person earmarked for this activity, and he is supposed to be an expert in terms of digital marketing as well. And he is exclusive. He works for us. As also, we have a team and company working for us here in India.
Okay, but is it a substantial chunk of our marketing budget? Because now the whole world is, kind of spending advertising dollars on the internet only now. 50-60% of all advertising has gone online. So, are we also spending in the same proportion online?
You're right. Our let us say quantum of advertising on the net has increased. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And are we looking to substantially up our spending, given that we are now launching PPF, paint protection films in the US market? Are we going to up this digital marketing investment substantially?
Yes. What we have also done is we have developed several concepts in the sense we have worked out or developed a digital showroom for our products, and people can visit the showroom to select the product, to understand our products, the benefits of products as compared to competition, specification of our product. So much of this activity, which you normally physically go to a showroom to see the product, we have now developed all that in the digital manner. So you can walk through that, and it is developed in 5 languages. So all the countries, by and large in the world can sort of access. Of course, English is the main language. Apart from that, we have in Spanish, French, Chinese, and German. So we have a couple of languages on which you can also track or see our products. So like that, we have several initiatives which we have taken in terms of promoting our product.
Right. And my last question, sir. I joined the call a little late, so I might have just missed it. Have you given any growth guidance for the next 2-3 years? Because our top line has been flat for the last quite a few years. Our margins have been, of course, improving. So have you given any guidance for the next few years in terms of our sales growth targets?
Yeah. In fact, we have announced a capacity expansion plan for one line, putting one line. The present capacity is 2,400 lakh square feet per annum. We are adding the capacity of 1,800 LSF lakh square feet. That will be operational at the beginning of the next financial year. That one announcement is there. Yes, thinking is going on as soon it is crystallized, finalized, will be put before the board. Once it is approved, then it will be.
Okay. Right. And this utilization of this line will happen over the next 2-3 years?
2 years, we are expecting.
3 years?
We are expecting in 2 years to utilize that capacity.
FY23 at the start it will get operational and it will get fully utilized in 2 years thereafter.
Yeah. No, it will be
2 years from now.
Yeah, 2 years from now. FY22 it will be operational and thereafter it will be contributing to the top line and bottom line both.
In 1 year itself?
Yeah, the installation it takes only 1 year. Within 1 year, it takes around 9 to 10 months. So within 1 year, we will be able to install the machine.
Mr. Kacholia, one more thing that you wanted to probably, the question that you're asking is, will it be able to get full capacity in the next year itself, within 12 months itself? But it's
if you implement it by March 22, will you be able to, how much utilization will you be able to do in the first year and the second year thereafter? That is my question.
So, first year about 40% and next year about 100%. In 2 years' time, we will occupy the whole capacity.
Oh, okay, got it. Got it, sir. All the very best, sir. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Keshav Garg from CCIPL. Please go ahead.
Sir, many congratulations for terrific cash flows for last year. And sir, but dividend is disappointing. In FY19 we made 35 rupees EPS and gave 10 rupees, and it's the same even though we made 55 rupees EPS. So please do something about that. And also, sir, wanted to understand that our decline in margins quarter on quarter from around 25% to 18%. So is it because of the change in product mix or in the increase in raw materials? So because I understand that in third quarter, value-added portfolio contributed almost 89-90% of the sales. So if you could tell us about fourth quarter.
Certainly, because as at the beginning I said that the raw material cost has gone up, which will be passed on to the customer. For the export being very high, it takes some time. There is a leap, and as soon as so that we will recover that money. Not an issue.
No, and what about the product mix? Is there any change in product mix quarter on quarter?
No, there is no change in the product mix.
A little bit happens because of seasonality, but other than that, nothing. 75%
specialty we are selling.
Okay. And also wanted to, sir, just one suggestion I'm seeing in your presentation, page number 21, adjusted return on equity is given as 15.75. So if you can just mention in your investor presentation that you have 1,000 crore of land, leasehold and freehold. So if we take out that from our net worth of around 1,550 crore thereabout, then so the return on equity is over 25%. So just to give clarity to investors that actually that land is an asset, and I mean we are including it in the basically denominator. So just if you could clarify going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Noted. Next, please.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sangeeta Purushottam from Cogito Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I had a couple of questions. When you're talking about this capacity expansion, is it only for the Sun Control film or is it an overall capacity expansion? So your total capacity is 2,400 LSF per annum, which will increase by another 1,800. So it's a 67% increase in your total capacity?
Yes, you see, we have both the side, industrial product side and consumer product side, utilizing the 100% capacity. You see, the last quarter we have utilized 100% capacity at both sides. Right now, what is planned is expansion at the consumer production side, and we are adding that 1,800 LSF which I mentioned.
Right.
67%.
So with this expansion, your capacity will increase by about almost 2/3, 67%.
No. Just to clarify, as our CEO mentioned, we have two lines. One is the industrial product, the other is the consumer product.
Right, okay.
Okay, the industrial product has a capacity of 42,000 tons of polyester film.
Right.
That is not expanding. Okay?
Okay.
What we are expanding is one of the lines, which is the window film business. The window film business has a capacity of 2,400 LSF. That is expanding from 2,400 by 67%. You are right. That is by an additional 1,800 LSF.
Right. And this will contribute approximately 300 crores to the top line?
That is correct.
Okay. My second question relates to margins. And, like it's been mentioned earlier also by other participants, your growth in profits has come largely from a very substantial margin expansion over the last few years because of your product mix changes, efficiency, etc. Where do you see these margins headed? Because your presentation says that the value-added products now make up almost 76% of the total production. So is there scope for margins to improve further, or have we sort of reached, stable margins? And in the current financial year, that is FY 21-22, given that you're operating at 100% capacity utilization and this line will come up next year, does that mean that volumes will remain flattish? And again, any growth in EBITDA and profits will really come from better margins?
This current year, the addition of profitability will be from the PPF line, and next year that will come from PPF as well as the new line will contribute in the next year. Value-added product, coming out with a new value-added product will continue. That is a continuous process, and we always search and go for the new value-added products. And there are, as I mentioned, certain products are already on cards. We are also going to file the patent, and those products will also be introduced.
Right. So does this mean that your margins can actually keep growing even from here?
Efforts are for that to increase the margin also, and also to increase the capacity so that the volume will go and top line will go, because it was stagnant for some time, and the efforts are there to increase top and bottom line.
Right. So margins can improve from here, right?
That's the constant endeavor, I think. That's the constant endeavor. And we've also got a new PCR, which is post-consumer recycled product line, which is the preferred kind of ingredient nowadays for other manufacturers. So that's also adding to the value. We'll add to the value as we go by.
Right. Okay, great. And my last question is relating to your working capital. If you could just talk a little bit about what kind of working capital are you operating at right now, and is there any scope for it to improve going forward?
So, we are continuously working on working capital to improve. At the same time, we are adding on few more capacity. So possibly it will be fluctuating for time being, but our constant attention is on the working capital to manage in the same way.
Right. So currently, typically, what kind of credit terms do you offer to your buyers?
Normally, we are dealing in advance.
You're dealing in advance. Okay.
Very selectively, we go for credits, but that is against security or some LC documents and all those.
Okay. So whatever receivables we're seeing in the balance sheet is really against something else?
From subsidiary company, majorly from subsidiary company.
These are majorly from your subsidiaries. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Great. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Ganesh Radhakrishna. Please go ahead.
Hello, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
So, I think most of the Western countries are out of this pandemic or this pandemic. So, do you see that the market has come back to pre-COVID levels in those markets?
Mr. Krishnan, would you like to?
You are right. The Western countries are slowly coming back to normalcy. Some of them are ahead. Some are still battling COVID. For example, South America, we still continue to have issues. Brazil is a big market for us. Unfortunately, that is still battling COVID. Parts of Europe is still having an issue. Some parts of Europe have opened up. Middle East is okay. United States is fairly all right, and our business is growing. So this sort of explains by and large the condition and the impact of COVID.
On the same line, sir, now in Maharashtra there has been a severe lockdown for the last 1.5 months or so. How is your production going on? Is it going to have some impact this quarter?
Our production is going, we are utilizing the full capacities because the local administration has permitted us, because we are manufacturing some of the films which goes for pharma and food grade application. Also, we are highest exporters, and we are into the continuous process operation. With all this, the government has allowed us to continue, and we are maintaining the observing all the COVID protocol which is laid down by the government. Over and above, we have our internal discipline also for COVID, and that's how we are continuing all the 24 hours, 365 days working.
Just to add, mention, we are using our full capacity during the COVID time. So it probably answers your question.
Fair enough, sir. Actually, I want a little more clarity on the same question the previous participant asked. If you are running already you have reached the 100% capacity on this lamination, and you said that revenue growth for this financial year will primarily coming from the PPF. And from next year onwards, the lamination, again, once it has been expanded, the lamination will contribute. And from the segment, you don't seem to provide any segmental results between PPF and the lamination. Now, how much of the PPF has been, probably it's been 3 months into the market. So what kind of capacity utilization you think is going to achieve this financial year?
You see, last time we have declared that by March 23, we will be completing 100% capacity. We are nearing break even, and in 6 months' time. And as we have earlier projected, we will be achieving the targets what is set to achieve the 300 crores in 2 years' time.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rajesh Vora from Jainmay Ventures Advisors. Please go ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity.
Mr.
Pathak, you mentioned about PPF. So we just started last quarter, and you just alluded that you are on track to achieve 300 crore by FY23. So would you care to give some idea about, so this is the big year where we need contribution from PPF in a big way this year because there will not be any volume growth from the existing business. So would you care to give some...
you see, that plant is capable of manufacturing several products because it's having that kind of facilities. Not only PPF but also some value-added products. So we are targeting to cater to the various customers' demand for value-added products from that line and to achieve the target set.
Okay. So something like 150 crore this year is possible, FY22? Because next year you have to get to 300, right?
We've not yet declared those numbers. I think it's getting there. As Mr. Pathak said, we've already come to a break-even. And going forward in the next year and a half, we will be able to complete the targets as stated.
How much did we do the revenues in the last quarter from PPF?
We don't declare actually individual segment details. More for competitive reasons than anything else.
Sure. And the other part I wanted to understand that we had that 1500 crore revenue goal post for FY23, right?
Right. Yeah.
Are we on track to get there?
Yes, absolutely on track. Yes.
Excellent. That's good. And last bit of bookkeeping on the what was you did cover this? There is a raw material escalation in terms of commodity prices and whatever. How much for our company was the increase in raw material on a weighted average basis for the whole year or for the last quarter, roughly?
In terms of percentage, last year it has not gone up; it has gone down basically.
Last quarter.
Last quarter it has gone up. By exact number, I'll give you.
Sure.
December to March, it has gone by 5% of the revenue.
Okay, 5%, and that you aim to recover from your exports customers, as there is a time lag, as you clarified in the in the next couple of quarters. Generally, what's the time lag we experience?
The next 2 quarters are the real best ones. So what's happening is that for Garware as a entity. So probably Mr. Krishnan can take it over.
Q3 onwards. July onwards. July onward it is possible.
Around July is what we are looking at in terms of a full recovery of those.
Excellent. Good. Thank you so much and all the very best for 1500 crore revenue.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Piyush Gala from SK Securities and Investments. Please go ahead. Mr. Piyush Gala, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. So my question is very simple. What's your revenue guidance for the next couple of years?
So as of now, we have given guidance for FY23 up to, so that is what 1500, several people already explained it and we have published it. So that is first target we want to achieve by FY23.
Okay, thank you so much. And also, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks once again.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sahil Sharma. Please go ahead.
Hi. So I was reading the FY20 annual report and I saw that the company had to shut 2 of the film lines. I was wondering if it might be possible to go into the specifics of what upgrades were performed and also whether if you can talk about why it takes 45 days just for us to understand what kind of upgrades these are. And as a follow-up, how often can we expect to see a repeat of these upgrades going forward? For basically, I'm guessing all of the lines have to be updated, but what is the frequency that we can see, or was this a one-off?
No, you see line 5 and 4, which we have recently upgraded, that was the operating system, which was very old and no service was available for that. And the OEMs has advised us to get it upgraded, and that's why we got it upgraded.
So was it like a one-off? Like we should not expect to see a repeat of this in the future, right? Because you are already upgraded for this line.
Yes, indeed. It doesn't happen very frequently.
Okay, thanks. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kashyap Karthik from Table Tree Capital. Please go ahead. Mr. Karthik, your line is at the top.
Can you hear me?
Very clearly. This time very clearly. Thank you for waiting this long. Sorry about that.
Sure. No problem. So on the window film business, should we, what we hear is because of Expel's entry into the US market, very aggressive pricing is going on between Expel and 3M to price their window film very, very competitively, given they have a basket of products. So are we seeing any price pressure on our window film business with our tinters, one, and two, what's the usual price differential vis-a-vis our competition? Is it 10% higher or 10% lower, or the same from a price perspective?
In terms of the window film business, we have been aggressively competing with Expel and 3M in the US market. In fact, our sales is better than Expel, to give you an idea on a like-to-like basis. In the US market, we are multiple times higher than Expel on the window film, number one. Number two, our products are priced higher than competition because of the quality. 3M is still higher than us, but we are higher than Expel in the market. So we are at par with all the other brands which sell the products. Our global brand is around the same price. And as I mentioned to you, the key driver for our product is the quality. That is what attracts customers.
Got it. So on the second question that I have, I know we focus a lot on CPA, consumer-facing products, but on the industrial products in terms of the PET packaging, the covering around Pepsi or Coke or whatever it is, has there been any growth, or because of COVID you've seen a massive degrowth in the IPD space? I know we don't call it IPD. There's some value added in the pie chart that is given. So is there any light or any color that you can throw on? Is there any growth expectation at all, because you're not even expanding capacity? Is there a way to kind of enhance value here, or is it almost like commodity but we call it value, or we call it value add?
No. We make specific products which cater to the beverage industry. I think we mentioned that last time also, which is called shrink. And there are very few manufacturers in the world which make these products. Internationally, in fact, there are 3 recognized manufacturers apart from ourselves, which are Klöckner Penta, Bondset, and SKC, which is a Korean company. There are other small ones, but these I would say are the larger ones. Of course, the COVID did have an impact in terms of the beverage industry. As you're aware, the cold drink business, including for Pepsi, Coke, and all, got impacted during last year, during the COVID. But they are all, this year we have seen a revival in the last 1 or 2 months as we approach summer in this country and in various export markets. The demand for this product started picking up quite well in most of their markets. So we do see the demand continuing to be there for these products. And at an appropriate time, we will announce our action plan for the business as well, just as we just announced for the window film and the PPF. As and when this is there, suitable announcements will be made.
Got it. And one last accounting question, sir. From a tax rate perspective, I know we mentioned we have MAT credits for FY22. So are we saying for FY23, which is like next financial year, we'll go to 75%, or the 25% tax rate, or are we still going to be around 35% even in FY23?
So that is what we are aspiring. So we'll see how it moves on about the MAT credit utilization and we'll just work out which option is much beneficial for us in FY23.
Got it. But we still don't know. We still don't have an idea between in FY23 whether it will be MAT credits or 25%.
Chances are there.
Chances are there that we move to 25%.
Correct. Possibility is there.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sudhir Bheda from Bright Time. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to ask the question again. Most of my questions are answered, sir. But one question, opinion from you, from the investor point of view. Are we thinking to list our shares in the National Stock Exchange to improve the visibility and liquidity?
Yes.
The process is already on. It's just that COVID has delayed this process. Otherwise, it should have been done by now, anytime in the near future.
Great. Thanks and all the best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is in the line of Savan Chitora. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. My question is focused on the inflation in the U.S. market, which is the largest market for us. And inflation has hit it the hardest since 2008. So what impact are we forecasting on the sales or demand? Because some people may choose to delay their expenses on the products, or they may choose a cheaper option from the competition.
We haven't seen any such impact. On the contrary, as I explained to you, in fact, the biggest growth this year has come from the U.S. market. And the demand continues to be far more than what we can actually manufacture. You will be amazed, the demand has been growing in the U.S. market for our product.
So one reason for that is probably this. While this is a product that's used in cars and it's only $700, $800 per car, it's on a premium car. It's not done on a smaller car. So the user is probably a premium person, and we've not seen any change in those spending profiles.
In fact, we saw a surge in demand again because, as you are aware, during the COVID time, the government supported several people in terms of giving credit directly into their account. And much of that money which was received from the government, we saw going into some of these purchases like window films, etc., for the cars. So that, in fact, pushed the demand even higher.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kunal Bhatia from Dalal & Broacha. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity, and first of all, congratulations for a good set of numbers. So just wanted to understand, in case of window films, what would be the market size in US? And when we say that we are number 2, so what would be our market share in that?
The market size in US alone, if you were to say, is somewhere in the region of about 2,000 crores or so in terms of the market size. And we have a fair share. I mean, we are about 10% or so of that market, a little more than that.
And so when we are talking about the growth next year, what I understand from the previous conversations is that, sir, X of PPF, if we were to take a little bit of price increase to pass on the raw material prices, so X of PPF, we would be growing in mid single digits, say 4 to 5% odd. Is the understanding correct?
No, we could grow more. I mean, last year, as you are aware, we had a situation that we had the COVID impact also in the last financial year. In the initial 2 months, it was rather difficult. So this year, we don't have those impacts per se. And yes, we could look at some opportunities of price increase. We could look at portfolio rejig in terms of new products. We are, as our CEO mentioned, we are working in terms of new products which can be brought into the market. These are very, very sophisticated products. One such product we have just introduced into the market, which has started picking up demand. So some of these will actually add to the top line, as also, of course, to the margins on the window film.
Sir, in case of our PPF business, will the margins of that business be higher than our average?
Pradeep, if you can.
You can assume.
Okay. And sir, and how big would be the PPF market of lately?
Again, the PPF market in US also is of a similar amount, somewhere about 2,500-3,000 crores for the PPF.
Okay. And so my final question is that after this new capex, so the additional revenues which we are talking about is 300 crores from the PPF and the 300 crores additional from the new capex which we are planning in terms of window films.
Yes. 300 crores by end of 23 and 300 further by end of 24. So that is additional will get added.
A total of 600 crores additional from the current run rate.
Yes.
Okay. Fine, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Dilip Patel. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity given. One question on the volume side. So I understand that revenue has gone up by almost 12-13% YOY. What is the volume growth that you have seen in this year in FY21?
Mr. Pathak?
Yeah, just hold on.
No, sir, you're getting the number.
Yeah. And secondly, the question is that we can see that, this year you have posted one of the highest margins. So is it possible to quantify how much is the inventory gain this year because of increase in your raw material price? So how much is the inventory gain that you have booked this year?
No, we maintain just-in-time inventory actually. So there is no gain that way.
So in polyester business, our volume are more or less same of the last year. There is no significant change in the volume. But in case of sun control film, we have increased our volume by 20%.
100 crores.
Yeah, so which has given us an additional revenue of 100 crore plus.
Okay. And thirdly, the land bank, that land that you have worth 1,000 crores, any plans on that? What are the long-term plans?
Am I audible? Is it okay?
Yeah, you are audible. Yes, you are audible.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, so
yes, you are audible.
Hello?
Sir, we are able to hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so the question is on the land worth 1,000 crores. So what are the plans on that? Are you looking to divest that land, or you are looking to do some greenfield expansion over there? What exactly is the plan on that land as of now?
As you've stated repeatedly over here, there has been no formal decision on that. And as and when the board decides on what they need to do with the land, they will decide. But currently, it is as is.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is in the line of Sarvesh Bodani. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So a few questions. One is on the EBITDA margin. So in Q3, we did 25% kind of EBITDA margin, and we said that they will only improve from here. And I understand that your raw material price hike has been a bit steep. So say for the full of FY22, can we look at 25-26% kind of EBITDA margin on a full year basis?
It will be in line with the previous years on a whole year basis is what we can say without trying to give you a particular number.
Okay. And sir, you mentioned about these new products and also this paint protection film business. So what are the factors that influence your decision to enter a new market? Is it the market size, or is it any industry specific reports, or does the demand come from our tinters, the network that we already have? So if you could share anything on this.
Yeah. See, our market opportunity depends on the segment that we cater to. We cater to the automotive segment, as you are aware. So all that is required in the automotive, and which is an extension of our product range, we do that, and that is how we look at products. And we are looking at other products in a similar fashion. As I mentioned, we have just introduced into the market a new product which again caters to the automotive segment, but for an application which is on the front windshield glass, which is an exterior film which we use, which hitherto we were not catering to. So that is something which we are just in. So we do identify such opportunities in the market, which are extensions of our product range and which could be catered to by us. So as I said, we keep doing research in terms of these products, and we look at the market opportunity. Some of these requests do come from the tinter community as well. Some also is based on our own research and analysis of the market.
Okay, sir. Thanks for that. And sir, just on the FY22 revenue number, so we are doing a 290 crore per quarter kind of run rate. So say hypothetically, and so the paint protection film business, would it be over and above, so say 1150-1200 crore revenue for FY22 plus 100 crore or whatever you do from the paint protection film business? So is that a fair assumption, just hypothetically? I understand you don't want to give any guidance.
Without any numbers, I think we've said we've broken even this time so far. We're just 6 months into the field. So you can imagine in the tinter community is the same community that uses this for the paint protection as well. So the access is easy. Let's keep it at that. I think in another quarter or two, you'll get a perma number. But it's going in the right direction. If our FY23 numbers are in the right guidance, then you can imagine that everything is going well so far.
Okay. Sir, and a small question on the quarter one. So we heard all these that the labor attendance has been falling short at some plants in Maharashtra, and there was a severe COVID surge for a few weeks. So let's say if we could have sold 100 tons, just hypothetically, so how much were we able to sell, or were we able to sell all that we wanted? So you did mention that we are at 100%. So have we been at 100% for the full quarter, or is it only now that we have been 100% utilization?
It has been 100% for the whole quarter. We are utilizing the capacity, though the workmen issues are there for some industry, but we have workmen which are staying nearby to the factory, nearby villages, and they are traveling. We have arrangement for their travel, and all care has been taken for safe traveling and safe stay. So we could achieve that.
In fact, if I'm not wrong, Mr. Pathak, you could add, we have been at 100% capacity for quite a few quarters now, even during COVID, I think. Mr. Pathak, please confirm if I'm right.
Actually, even we have completed the project during COVID time.
COVID, exactly. Yeah.
And
the PPF line was done during COVID.
Yeah, even they were the workmen from even outside states, other than Maharashtra also, which we had made arrangement to stay in the factory premises, and that's how we managed without any effect of COVID, because we have all facilities. We have a health center inside the premises also, and as I said, we have a total protocol for COVID which is monitored continuously. There are cameras everywhere, everything, all regulations are followed. There is an audit team which continuously audit also this all the actions. So it's a complete process which is followed, and that is how it is helping us.
Okay, sir. Thanks, sir, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is in the line of Ayush Agarwal from Mittal Analytics. Please go ahead.
Sir, thanks for the opportunity. I got I dropped the line earlier. I got dropped. So my question is that, as you were discussing that about the tinter penetration, that, you said that a lot of the tinters are wedded to us, but some customers come looking for a particular brand. So doesn't that also mean that having a good presence among the car owners becomes very important, because if they come looking for other brand, and if Atenta does not have that brand, then they lose business. So how are we going about that to create a brand presence among the car owners now that we have a good enough Atenta penetration?
Yeah, we are in touch with the car retailers. As you are aware, in many of these countries, the retailers are a chain owned by some of the large companies. So we are in touch. Our distributors are in touch with these chains, and they are in a way also connected to the customer. In fact, they offer packages as accessories when the car is sold. At that point of time itself, they do make those offers to customers to attract them to buy our product.
But again, this is indirectly reaching to them. But do we intend to reach them directly in some way or the other? I mean, because that becomes really important given the supply chain penetration we have now.
Yeah. See, as was explained in one of the questions, we do a lot of online activity in terms of reaching out to customers. Usually, in developed countries, the way of buying products these days are more to go on to the net or go on to, if they are interested in buying a particular product, they do a little bit of research, especially when they are spending between $700 to $1,000 and all that. So they go on to the net to check for the product, and we are present as part of that consideration set. So therefore, we are able to have a connect in terms of our brand with the customer as well.
All right. Also, just I don't know if this was asked or not, but given that we are already at 100% in our sun control line business, the production capacity, will the volumes remain flat for FY22?
No, not necessarily. As was, I think, again communicated, we have several opportunities in terms of portfolio enhancement or introduction of newer product. So what we do is it is an ongoing process. As we develop new products which are high margin, high cost, we replace that and drop off some of the low margin products from our portfolio. So this is an ongoing process. So we still have opportunities for top line growth. Of course, notwithstanding that, every company has cost control measures. Number one, to improve the bottom line, and also in terms of opportunities to increase cost, increase price of the product. So all those levers will be used in terms of marketing our product.
All right. Thank you for the answers, sir. That's it from me.
Welcome.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sangeeta Purushottam from Cogito Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I actually wanted to understand about your tax rate. It appears a little high. Is there any particular reason? Could you just clarify that?
Yeah, we have MAT credit, so we are still under old tax regime. We are using the old tax rate, which is 30%.
And when will that continue?
For this financial year, we will continue with that, and next year we will see how much we will, if we opt for the lower tax rate, and how much is MAT credit available, so that working will work out in the next year.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Girish Jain from KJMC FinServ Group. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the opportunity and congrats on a good set of numbers. I dropped off for some time, so pardon me if I'm repeating the question. Could you throw light on the proposed CAPEX plan? By when will it start commercial production, and which particular product line are we looking to expand the capacity in?
As mentioned earlier, we are going for adding the capacity for window film line and the capacity of 1,800 lakhs per square feet. That will be operational next year beginning of the next year, and that will be 100% capacity utilization will be in 2 years time by end of 2024, March 24. That will be 300 crores should get added to the top line.
So in this financial year, we won't see any impact of the CapEx on the revenue, right?
This financial year, the PPF will get added.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Because
this financial year, PPF will add on to the top line.
Okay. And could you just also give me the working capital cycle of the company in the last financial year and compared to the year before that?
See, it is ranging between 30 to 40 days.
Okay. It was in the same band in the year before that also.
Sorry?
It was in the same band in the year before that?
Yeah, it's more or less same. Little improvement is there.
Okay. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. C.J. Pathak from Garwari Hi-Tech Films Limited for his closing comments.
Thank you. Thank you all for participating. Yeah. Thank you for participating in the earnings call. I hope we have been able to answer your questions satisfactorily. If you have any further questions or would like to know more about the company, please reach out to our investor relation agency, Blue Lotus Communication. We are thankful to all our investors who stood by us, and also thank you for your continued confidence in the company's growth going forward. And with this, I wish everyone a great evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Garwari Hi-Tech Films Limited, that concludes this conference call. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.